Hello, my beauties. Welcome. Welcome all. I am putting on my, isn't this the most adorable? Like I feel like a smurf or something. I like my feet to be warm, and a friend gave me these double lined socks. So I'm going to get comfy. How are you? Welcome now and in the future, the folks watching from the future. I do hope it's good there. I got that from Stephanie Perry, which I think is actually a great phrase. I did not think of it myself. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I also decided to go ahead with my live the times I usually would. It's around now. Despite whoever else is live, I don't actually know. So how are you doing? Hello, beautiful ones. And I'm going to try to keep this will not be an hour live. So actually, I'm going to jump right in. I've got some tea. I've got turmeric ginger. And while I wait for some folks to come in, say hi, greetings. And my glasses are absolutely filthy. I cannot find my glasses cleaner. Hold on, let me check again. So get some tea. We're going to talk. Yep. I have no idea where I put the cleaner for my glasses. Let me just use my blouse. Thrift store. Very happy with this find. I was just watching Rashida Dow's video about divesting from America, and she was talking about, cutting out shopping at like pick one store and just divest. And I have to say, and I am bragging, I truly am pretty low on the buying totem pole. Okay. So, yeah, what do you think? Isn't this pretty? And I don't know if you can see, it's just like little different beadwork. It's really more of a summer top, but I really like the color. So love thrift store shopping. Give me a yes if you do too, because it's unlikely you're going to find something that you're going to see someone else wearing. So that's my contribution, right? That's literally, part of my trying to walk more lightly on the earth. So, hello. Hi, Donna. Welcome. I am sorry. I think I was not here last weekend. I know I should remember. Still recovering from my trip to Italy. I will still be dripping out some content about that. In fact, today, there are going to be two audiences for this video that you're watching, okay? They're going to be people who are going to see the title, which is currently somewhere in there I have that I'm going to talk about is Italy, a racist country. And then there are those of you who are just my regular viewers. And I say I want to say thank you. You're interested in the spirituality and the self-growth and all of that. So hi, energy coach Selena. Welcome. Welcome, goddess. So who else is here? Say hi as you come in. So those are the two different audiences. So just be aware of that, because for the audience that's just looking for information on Italy, I want to give you a little background on me and where I'm going to come from in terms of this evaluation, okay? Now, the folks who watch me regularly, they have a better sense of me. They know me, but I want to say a couple of things. I'm also going to talk not just about that. I mean, I'm putting like 50 plus woman traveling solo, the fears, the adventure of it. So if you're interested in that, my spiritual take on things like that, if you're wanting to, travel abroad more or move out of the country for a period of time or just to get a break, okay? I think that you'll find this interesting. All right, let me see what Donna says here. You love I know, and you find unique things. Okay, so thrifting, because Rashida was talking about, oh yeah, calling out big stores, people in the chat too, and that's great, but I already don't do that. Okay. I already don't do that. Really light footprint on the earth. Yeah. Great, Donna. So I'm going to jump into my experiences. So I recently took a trip to Italy. Again, remember, there are going to be folks watching who are just interested in that who don't know me. So I've got to lay some groundwork, okay? I was there for 3 weeks. That's important to know. I am not claiming to be an Italy expert. I was on vacation for 3 weeks, okay? I do not live there, all right? Number one caveat. So I'm speaking from that perspective as a Black American woman visiting Italy for 3 weeks. Okay. What else is a caveat that I need to? That is it. I will make some comparisons though. For those of you watching, I'm going to make some comparisons when I was there twice 20 years ago. So I'm going to be honest before I talk about racism in Italy, if I did or did not experience it. I do have a love for the country. It started 20 years ago. I first went in 2003 and I went again in 2004. Okay. My background is in fine art. And so, yes, in the West, we're really schooled in Western art and specifically also a lot about the Renaissance. And Italy was really the birthplace of the Renaissance. So, artists like Michelangelo, and many others, which I should be able to name, but I'm just going to drink my tea. So, going to Italy was a big deal for me, also, especially as coming from a working class background. My parents didn't travel for tourism. So, anyway, so I definitely had a love for the country. That started 20 years ago. Okay. Even then, I was like, oh, wow, I'd like to live here or visit here more. So, I do come from that background. All right. So, how did I experience racism this time as a Black woman here? Oh, awesome. Oh, that's awesome, Selena. Actually, Selena, yeah, reach out. I'd love to catch up with you. I would love to catch up with you. And yeah, Janae, I don't know if she's active on Instagram. I don't know if she's active on Instagram. How's she doing? Yeah, that's great. So now I really place you because your picture's so tiny. But now I can place you. So I'm so glad you're here. So if you have questions or you want, me to personalize it to something you're concerned about, let me know. Um, so I go to Italy 20 years later, and I am 20 years older. I may not talk about some of that, but there was, I think age made a difference as well. Okay. I did see changes in the country. I did see changes in people's behavior. Okay, so let me start. I feel that Italy has racism as much as any other country. Okay. I'm going to give you a nuance. So if you want black and white and you want your opinion confirmed, then just leave the video now. Okay. Especially those of you coming in because you saw that I'm going to talk about racism in Italy, because it's an issue many Black women rightfully want to understand. Is this a place I should vacation? You hear wonderful things from a lot of influencers, about la dolce vita, just the good life, the sweet life. Okay, so is it a place maybe I could live? All right, so I understand that. And then you also hear other influencers, and specifically many Black influencers saying, I had a horrible time there. It was a racist country. Do not go, right? So again, I'm going to give you nuance. Okay, are you ready? And if you have questions and you're not live, do put them in the comments after, okay? Politely, kindly, if you disagree, you can share that, but without vitriol, because it's my channel and I'm not here to receive any vitriol, any, ugliness from you. You can share your opinion in a, you know, use your words. Okay, so I want to first share 3 highlights of my experience in terms of talking about racism in Italy. Okay, again, I was just there for 3 weeks. 3 good stories I want to share with you that are highlights for me. One was, and so I was in Venice, Italy. Then I flew to Sardinia, which is an island part of Italy. It's a beautiful island, famous for its beaches. And then I flew back to Florence. Okay. So I saw 3 different parts of Italy. So the first thing that stands out to me is when I flew into Sardinia, and I might have shared this before. Again, but you don't all watch every video of mine. I arrived at the airport. It was such a small plane that it doesn't like literally connect to the airport. You just walk down it like in old movies, right? And then they take you on a little bus or something. And this was in Sardinia, and a young woman sort of startles, looks up at me and is like, "Oh," And I'm like, oh. And she says, do you want to sit down? And I think she said it in English. She probably did, which that's interesting, right? I'm in Italy. And I was like, oh, first I was puzzled. I'm like, no, but I was like, that's so nice of you, because it was a very crowded bus. And she saw gray hair. And so she's like, you should sit down. Now, I had heard that we know in some nations around the world, right? Older people are respected, mature people are really respected. So I was really touched by that, but I was like, no, I'm fine. I was like, no, it's okay. Sit, 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 sit. And then she kept talking to her boyfriend or whatever. But I thought that was very sweet. Again, in Italy. The next thing that happened that stood out for me was I connected with someone there about trying to move there. We connected about massage therapy, actually, because you guys know in my background, I've studied holistic healing, of course, and, licensed massage therapist, which I kind of stopped during COVID, right? Because there were so many restrictions and we couldn't practice. So this Italian woman, you know, sight unseen, because it seemed like I knew a friend of hers, which is how small a world it is. She took me out to coffee and she basically took me through, this is how I think you could immigrate to Italy. Okay. Again, I'm not paying her. She doesn't know me. We think I know a friend of a friend. Very warm. Internet can still. And I realized there's something I need to quit. Let me quit something. I had another app open that I think was hogging. There it was. Yeah, that's hogging things. All right. So let me know if you're with me so far. And two other things happened. And then one's a longer story. As I'm talking about racism in Italy, did I experience it? Um, I was sick. I think I mentioned this. Flying in, just upper respiratory, the airplane air. There's something with that for me. Where I was staying at the Airbnb. I told the guy that, and I was panicked because my computer is tied to my phone. I only brought a charger for my phone, the cord from my phone to my computer. So if my computer died, I'd have no phone, no computer. So that was not a good idea, right? And I didn't have the plug for Europe. I'm telling my Airbnb guy this. He asked me a lot of questions. He's trying to figure out which one I need, because he's like, well, he knows what the European plug is, but he's like, well, what does your plug look like that needs to fit with that? He basically goes and buys this for me, finds it, bicycles it over. This is also also in Sardinia. Bicycles it, drops it off to me, was super sweet, told me, you're not old, stop, because I was complaining. He's like, how old do you think I am? And then he biked off and he was all like sturdy and he's like, stop saying that. You're gonna be great, and you're strong. We're strong. And he just bicycled off. And he also even said to me, because I was like, look, dude, I want to take this because I'm still traveling. Can I just take this plug? Can I give you some money? He's like, no, 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 take it. And I'm like, no, no, no. I mean, it really should go with the apartment or whatever. I'll leave it here. He's like, no, no, you take it. Okay. And then the fourth thing that happened in Italy that was a highlight of how I was treated as a Black woman. Um, I, again, at an Airbnb, and you could say now those are people who are obviously very open to visitors, open to foreigners, and that's absolutely true. But another thing that happened that was beautiful, that fits kind of the stereotype, the older stereotype of Italy, was I had an issue with a pellet stove where I was staying at another Airbnb. And basically, it started smoking. I got really scared. The woman had to come over. I don't typically use pellet stoves. It like the flames went like really up, yada, yada. Anyway, the woman, though, whose place it was so nice. She really was more concerned that I was upset. She even said to me, you're on vacation. I am so sorry this happened. And I thought, well, oh, I don't really know how to use the pellet stoves. And, she only spoke Italian. So it was very hard to communicate with her. And I only spoke English. So, but basically this woman, I ended up going over to her house, which was literally like one alleyway over, right? I wouldn't call it a street. They were so small. She basically gave me wine she grew herself. I mentioned this in another one. It was delicious. I'm convinced it's the elixir of life, this particular wine that Sardinia is famous for. It's famous for its 100-year-old people, guys. She gave me this wine and we were drinking and she's like, "Do you feel better?" And she's like trying to relax me. "Don't worry, it's okay. Oh, I'm so sorry this happened to you, and I'm going to get this checked. If there's something wrong with the stove, I'm going to take it out. This is terrible." And then she offers me food, and get this. This is food she made. Now, of course, you and I make food, but I mean, she made me ravioli with potatoes and some other stuff that apparently is a typical Sardinian dish. I think she made the flour. Like, I could tell it was homemade, and she brought it over to me. But before that, she invited me to come back because I had gone back now to the Airbnb. She goes, "Do you want to come over and have dinner with my family?" Okay. And I was like, "Nah, I'm so tired and stressed from like the whole smoke incident. I'm gonna just stay back at my home at the Airbnb." And she brought it over to me. She made a dessert, which was also, I believe it was also like little raviolis with stuffed with a bland cheese and you drizzle honey on it. She made that and brought it over to me, and she brought the pasta that was stuffed with potatoes and some other stuff over to me. So clearly I had some very positive interactions while I was in Italy. So what I want to say is, like, there's definitely racism in Italy. And this is the one story I have, was this woman gave me the stink eye in the same small town. Okay. Very, very small town, you guys, literally 3,000 people. That may sound like a lot, but 3,000 people in one town, it's not a lot. They were up on a mountainside, and the woman gave me the stink eye. Okay, which I could say was racism, but here's what happened. I go into my Airbnb person's like, I'm like, "Oh God, I have to eat." And it was a weird time. I go into this little tiny restaurant. There are three guys standing around talking who completely didn't pay attention to me. They kept talking, yada, yada, yada. You could tell they were old friends, right? The woman, though, is cleaning, and I go in and I'm like, "Can I order food?" And I think I said that in English. Okay, so imagine if you're here in America. Again, I have to really break it down for some of you because I know it's hard to like get your mind around it. But imagine if we're here in America and somebody comes up to you and speaks Italian to you, blah, 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 and you're like, "What?" Or even Spanish. Now, Spanish we may be more used to, but you'd still be like, "Why are you speaking to me in another language, right? Why are you speaking to me in German? We're in America." So I think I couldn't help it. I said something in English, like, "Are you open? Excuse me, are you open?" or something. And she's like, "No, no, I'm closed. I'm closed." And then I was like, "Well, where can I go?" And she was kind of like, And so that was my one incident. Now, I wanna say I'm not negating any of any people of color who have had racist experiences in any country, um, because from my research, there are definitely things that seem to heighten when you're dealing with someone who's racist, and specifically in Italy, I'm going to talk about. One is, and this is a shame, but it has to do with the immigration into Italy and how that issue is being stoked a lot by politicians, just like here in this country. If you are perceived as African versus being perceived as American, you will be treated differently. Okay, let me know if you're with me. So this is something I think that can happen throughout Europe, is specifically, but definitely, again, I'm talking about Italy here. If you're perceived as African, there definitely is a stronger bias in some Italians against Africans, because they're like, "Oh, again, just like here, the whole story of they're coming here, they're coming illegally, and they're just getting all these services, and we should be closed, and all of that." And that's being stoked in the average Italian, because they're like, "My country for me," right? The same way we see in America. Okay, so if you're perceived as American, though, um, the reception is a little bit different. I've also noticed that a lot of the people who had a lot of difficulty with racism, some of them are darker complexion. So again, there's colorism, right? Definitely at play. Yeah, let me know if you're with me. So again, that's part of it. I can feel that that's part of it. And again, from watching other people's videos, listening to some of them saying that, if you are darker complexioned, I think you may have more difficulty if you're perceived as African. Again, it depends on the person. So I would say just the same way in America, where there are parts of America that we know really, really strong attitudes of bigotry and racism, that you absolutely can find that in Italy. But the majority of the people, and as I said, that literally was the one racist experience I had. Um, again, and I'm actually, and this, I do want to say this, and some of you are going to get angry at me. I don't know if it was because of racism. I do think she was not used to seeing Black people. But like I said, this town is so small. I literally saw little nonnas in black, like the stereotype, if you've ever seen, of the old fashioned Italian in long black skirts and black, and they have a little scarf on their head, clearly in their 90s. So this town was like back in time. I literally don't know if she had seen many Black people in her life. So that could have been part of it. But it also was, she's like, I'm closed. And there was a certain, like, that's it, that's it. So yeah, get out. And I've seen that here in America. So I really, if you are someone who feels drawn to Italy, either to visit or to live for some time, I would say go, be there, but go with an open heart, go without any preconceptions. And if you're not sure, if you really feel unsure or worried, then maybe it's not the country for you. But having said that, there are many, many people of African descent who live in Italy, who are Italian now, right? And they, whether through marriage, through nationalization, being born there are Americans who live there who are happy. So again, I think we're all going to have a different experience. Like I said, I do think those two factors I mentioned count. Because I'm very sort of open and people open up to me, maybe because I'm a meditation teacher, I started talking with an Italian woman who ran a store, and just I kind of let her talk, and she said to me, she expressed some of her concerns about whether, how do I put it? Well, she basically said she felt there was an increase in crime, and she was worried if it was caused by, and I think obviously more specifically men coming in, whether from various countries where the culture was very different than Italian culture. So there definitely are feelings of that. And as many of you know, I'm talking about my recent trip to Italy. Hi, I see some more folks joining. And I wanted to answer the question of, is one of the common questions, especially for obviously, specifically for Black women, especially, and men, is Italy racist? So as I'm saying, I think I'm just going to say it's right down the middle. You can definitely experience racism there, and you can also definitely have a wonderful time. Some of it might be regional. Again, for those of you just joining, I went to northern Italy in Venice, treated wonderfully. Really, people were nice. If they were rude or short-tempered, it was clear it was just like their personality or the situation, or they're like, what is, this woman is talking to me in English again, and I don't understand. Right? I don't understand her. She's talking in English. She doesn't speak any Italian. So I was in northern Italy, and then I went to Sardinia, which is an island, off of Italy. That's part of Italy. And then I went to Florence, which I think is middle middle to a little bit north. Bad with geography. So Energy Coast, yeah, go visit. And you have to go, Selena, like I said, and again, this is going to trigger some people. I am not saying everything that happens to you, like if you're in a bombing, that you attracted it. I'm not saying that. But in interactions with people, often what we bring to the interaction affects how the interaction goes. And I know that for a fact. I've talked to people who I know are racist, and they've been nice to me. I've been nice to them. We had a good interaction in that moment, right? Whatever didn't flare them, or I've had people flare up racist, I'm talking about in America, at me, at a local store where I live in America, okay? Guy went off, not specifically at me, but in general at, Black and brown people, them went off on a talk radio tirade. I stayed really calm. I stayed really calm. I'm like, I'm never going in the store again when this person is here. I may never go in the store again entirely, right? And again, he wasn't saying you, but it was more like you people. And I just stayed really calm. Okay. Give me if you've experienced that. And again, I'm talking about in this country. So, yes, you can have racist incidents in Italy. In fact, I will go back 20 years when I went with my friend, black man, artist. He loved Italy too. He felt he had one or two experiences that I did not have, even though I was with him 90% of the time. I think somebody was rude to him. For example, okay, so you're traveling with a husband, a partner, male, female, it can be slightly different, right? Skin tone. Who are you perceived as being? I remember he felt, and it hurt him, but overall, he still loved Italy and was a gay man. He went back with his partner, I want to say twice, but I think it was somebody was rude again in an interaction, and he thought he got a look at one point. Again, we could be in Georgia, we could be in Tennessee, we could be in Texas. That can happen. Okay. So, Selena, let me know what you think. Donna, let me know what you think. I'm going to have some of my tea. So, I'm just going right down the middle. I tried to give you nuance. Okay. Because what I see happening a lot on YouTube, and it does bother me, not that I can counter all of YouTube, is people are like, oh, that's a racist country. Don't go there. They're not getting my dollars. Or, compare Italy to China. There are black people who are happy in China, fine in China. And then there are black people who are like, yes, they take photos of me and I feel like an animal in a zoo. Other black people are like, yeah, they're like, they've never seen a black person. They truly, in person, they have never seen a black person. They want to take a photo with you. I don't view that as racist. I'm saying what some black people in China say. So, same situation, different people read it in different ways. Now, it would probably get on my nerves. And it probably depends. How often is this twice? And I'm in some remote village where they've never seen a non-Chinese, let alone a black person. They've never seen any in person, right? So that probably would bother me to a certain extent. Compare Italy to China. I don't know which is more racist compared to Germany. I don't know, right? You can really quick. Someone I went out on a date, and black guy, and he loved Germany. Loved Germany. Was like they're so advanced. Everything was cool, clean. He's just like they just have it together. He loved it. A family member of mine was stationed in Germany. Seemed to love it. Okay. At the same time, there are right-wing people who, are not like not reform Nazis in Germany. Again, okay, both existing at the same time. This guy having a great time, no problem, walking around, dark complexion guy, like deep chocolate brown, walking around, spending his money, hotels, everything fine. Yet at the same time, we know there are those who, might despise him. Maybe they live in that conservative town one over. So yeah, that's my take on specifically Italy and racism. So I wanted to just talk about any other things that I took again as a 50-something woman traveling solo, specifically to Italy. And the one other thing, because I did not pre-prepare everything, the one other thing, guys, that I found was when I came back, I had no trouble with the food in Italy, right? And I'd mentioned that in a video before going that I wanted to see that. I didn't particularly have a lot of pasta. I did have the best pizza of my life. I mean, truly. And I'm not even particularly a pizza person. I like pizza, but I'm not like obsessed with pizza. But I had the best pizza of my life in that small town in Italy. It was so good. I got like a pie, like not a tiny pie, but like a pretty good pie that gave me like 3 servings. It was delicious. Everything was fresh. My stomach was not upset. I didn't get pain, cramping. When I came back to America, I started to. So in terms of the food, for those of you who are thinking about it, Europe in general and maybe Italy, I did find it's coming back here, the stomach trouble started again. Okay. Apparently, there are things that are banned in Europe that is regularly in our food, in all our food, that they ban in other countries. Okay. So I'm better now, but I definitely found that, yeah, when I came back here, and I don't know what it was specifically in my diet here in America that flared it up. So, yeah, questions, comments, talking about observations about traveling in Italy as a Black woman, 50 plus. Like I said, I do feel that the people overall feel a little bit jaded with tourism. And I did make a video about mass tourism in Venice. You could watch that. I would still definitely go to Venice. Just like you're seeing Spain, those of you who watch this type of videos, Spain and other countries, Spain, they literally took water guns and were shooting at the tourists because the tourism has so overrun them, they can't get places to live in their own city. Really quick, that happened in Florence. I spoke to people in Florence, and as I said, people open up to me. Especially, I'm not typically point blank asking them about race, but I just, talk with them. There's definitely anti tourist overall. Everybody, they're Italians in the big cities are getting tired of tourism because people are doing things like peeing in their fountains, guys. Their fountains are like, hundreds of years old, right? They're like works of art and people are like peeing in there. I think a German guy went and he pulled off the arm off a statue. I swear to God, you know how people are. That's not us usually, you know what I mean? But you know how people are. So I definitely felt a heightened sense, a little bit more of not anti-tourism, but a wariness, a fatigue. I felt it. I know it's hilarious because I was a tourist in Florence, and I might not have mentioned this, not in the Venice video. In Florence, I felt it was overrun with tourists. I didn't like it, the main center. But here's what I realized as I came home, guys. For those of you who are city folks, you'll totally get this. I grew up in New York City, all right? Let me know, did any of you grow up in a big city? Let me know, like Detroit or Chicago. Let me know in the comments. Thank you, Greg. It's nice to see you too. This is what I'm going to say, right? Again, I'm comparing Italy now, how people are acting to, so New Yorker, I never go to Times Square. When I lived growing up in New York, I rarely went. Why would I go to Times Square? I'd go to Times Square for like maybe movie theaters back in the day. But you know what I mean? Real people who live in a city, in a famous city, whether it's Tokyo or whatever, they don't tend to go into the places that get overrun with tourists are not typically the place where the natives go. So to my point, if I landed in Times Square, Times Square is overrun with tourists in my own country. When I go to Italy and I go to Florence, which is so hyped, all of these social media people, I actually do blame it on them. They're hyping these places, guys. Oh, you must see this. You must see Mount Fuji. Oh, you must see Mount Kilimanjaro. You must go to Paris and you have to get this shot. So people are literally like frantic with their cameras, like, I have to get it. I have to get it. That is what I experienced, right? So Florence, that's not different than anywhere else. The heart of Florence was overrun with tourists. I also saw a lot of men that I would say were probably migrant men standing around. It felt like Times Square feels like. There's just people just hanging around, and you're like, okay, and there's people zipping around and nobody's looking at each other, nobody's talking. It's just like this like craziness, right? So that Florence had that. Okay. Let me see what Donna says. I do appreciate the nuanced perspective. Thank you. People are so wrapped up in cancel culture here recently. I know, Donna, and I think Black and brown folks do have to just speak about it. And listen, this is why they're doing it, Donna. I'm going to tell you, and those of you watching, what you need to realize is YouTube, if a video gets a lot of views, like thousands of views, the person's trying to make money with their channel. So if I literally put a face on my thing like, and Italy is racist, this video would get more views. this video would get more views and make me more money. So some of the people are heartfelt. Like I was watching one girl, I really believe she was heartfelt. She felt she was treated horribly in Italy. Again, this is true. If you're treated badly by one person, the next interaction you're going to be more, and then okay, I didn't think they treated me well. And then it's like a snowball. I do believe that. And where you are, maybe a small town is more racist. Maybe it's more in the tourist areas. Who knows, right? Different people are saying different things. But so what I'm saying is that we need to try to give nuance because again, people can be nasty and not be racist. What's hard as a black or brown person is you don't know why they were rude. They were rude because they hate their job. I'm going to tell you the truth. In Italy, you can kind of feel some people don't like their job and they're a little bit like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Right? They don't like their job. It's not you. They're just like, whatever. This is it. Read it. You can't read it? Okay, well, it's in Italian. Learn some Italian before you come to the country, right? There you go. Okay, I don't know if Rochester is. Yeah, Rochester probably doesn't count, Gray. I don't, unless it has like, yeah, we're talking Detroit, Chicago, parts of Florida, right? Miami, like where there's a part where everybody's like swarming and like trying to take pictures and take their selfie. Yeah. So again, American racism. Yeah, it does. Exactly, Donna. Thank you. It totally does. So we go in sensitized. We go in ready for the side eye that the guy could literally have indigestion and think you're a cheap American. And we're like, oh, he doesn't like black people. No, he doesn't like cheap Americans, and you didn't tip away he thought you should, and his wife is cheating on him. Literally. That's just how I think. Now, of course, that doesn't negate that there are racist people. Real quick story, too, though. An Eastern European guy, get this, was telling me not to go to Italy. I was recently one of some people chosen to do small murals in my town. We did them on like electrical boxes, so maybe like yay big, right? Mine was really nice. Okay, we got a little bit of money. And this Eastern European guy, even though he's not a citizen. Anyway, he wanted to do one too. But I mentioned Italy to him because he did this big thing in Europe. I do all these murals, and he mentioned Italy. So I'm like, oh, I'm interested. I want to visit Italy. And he goes, don't go, they're racist. But I'm like, he just told me he lived there. He's doing murals there, and I'm like, well, I'm an artist. Why? Maybe I can do murals there. No, 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 no. Basically, this is what he told me, guys. And again, I'm a New Yorker, so I'm always going to take you with a grain of salt, right? And I'm also trying to watch what your motivation is. So here's this, 25, 26-year-old white male from Eastern Europe, and I think that's important, saying, oh, the whole country's racist. I'm like, well, tell me what happened. And he mentioned like maybe 5 hooligans, like teenage boys. I'm sorry, every country in the world, right? Unless you're in a country where you're not even allowed hooliganism. He's like, they were like scrawling graffiti or something, or go back home, Africans or something. And I'm like, absolutely, that's racist. I'm like, yeah, but I'm the type of person, and again, I'll have my experience. If I update this, I will definitely let you know. But my point is like, you know what? I'm not going to let people, and let me know what you think, Donna, Gregory, Selena. I want to live my life. Absolutely, I don't want to go where I'm like unwanted. But at the same time, if I'm enjoying a place 85%, 90%, 90%, and there's 10% assholes, I'm not going to let those assholes dictate. That's how I feel. So this guy, this Eastern European artist telling me, don't even go. And I'm like, I've been there and I loved it. Oh, yeah, well, okay, it's changed. Okay, that's true. And I think he did say, well, the immigration thing and people are, and I'm like, yep, that's happening. That's happening, right? So that's my take on it. Again, food, better, better. Wine, delicious. And are any of you thinking of moving abroad? Because I know that's not usually the topic for my channel, but are any of you who are here live thinking of moving abroad? I do want to say that this isn't specifically a response to Donald Trump's reelection, um, though that is influencing it. This is really coming. So let me get into my spiritual mode. This is coming from me as a spiritual being. I listen to what my guides isn't even the word, just my intuition is telling me. And watch one of I think I do have a previous live where I mentioned the two beautiful interactions. The one with the lady, which she took me out for coffee and helped me, but another one that was so coincidental. It was arranged by God. It was that type of thing. So watch that previous video. It was a live where I talk about that. That was in Sardinia, where I had the question, how can I move here? And Spirit orchestrated people to come in to tell me how. Okay, that happens to me as a spiritual person. That's why I tell you all, you need to meditate more. It'll happen to you more. Um, so yeah, watch that. I don't think I'll repeat the story here, but so I did really love Sardinia. I am going to put together just some images, but I'm sorry to say, guys, I'm not a travel vlogger, so I didn't literally try to take that's what they do. They travel just to take pictures for you. I don't know how much they enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? I was really trying to look at art because you guys know I had that stipend they gave me. I was doing research on art from making my own art. I was also scouting the country. So I had a lot of different things going on. Plus, I did get sick from the travel very specifically and just the change of temperature. When I flew into Sardinia, you guys, is beautiful and it was really warm. Venice was unnaturally warm. So you've got different bacteria from all different people. It's a lot. And I do have a better sense. I may make a separate video about how to prepare for travel health wise, which I really didn't do. Um, Maybe I'll add that here. But yeah, what are you guys thinking? Is there anything you want to know? Um, about travel abroad. And again, because the topic was Italy, what I led off with, I do want to say Italy is a difficult country to expat to. It does not make it easy. There are other countries that make it easier legally and bureaucracy wise, like Portugal. If you're looking in Europe, there are other countries that are easier to stay long term in. Italy, strangely, even with the digital nomad visa, it has like 3 times the income requirement of what their own people make. Tell me that makes sense. The average salary in Italy to be a digital nomad there, you need like 3 times that. And that's absurd. Like your own people are living on this, right? So what's this? It's kind of like what Mexico is doing to us. Again, I know you guys may not be into travel, so let me know. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking. But um, Mexico has recently really upped its income requirements such that many Americans can't afford it, which I find funny, right? With our government and the incoming government, especially smack talking Mexico. Not saying Mexico doesn't have problems, but there are huge numbers of Americans who live there and have lived there for decades, right? They do. They tend to live in the safer places, which you can research. They don't tend to live in like the drug lord places. Again, if you're interacting, things can happen, right? Maybe they're in Merida, maybe they're in San Miguel Allende, they're in, and what's the other really famous one? Puerto Vallarta. Americans go to places like that. So anyway, questions for me, guys? Are you worried at all about travel? Are you worried about just the energy change in America with, Kamala Harris's loss? I do think there is something fishy about the election, and I hate to say that, but I do. Um, I think it would be very easy for powers that be, um, that would support the winner, to tamper. Very easy because the numbers, I don't know, again, maybe America is just showing what I feel like, and I've said this before, is yes, inflation is crazy high. That doesn't mean I'm gonna like sell my soul to someone who is, spewing hatred of almost every race on the planet, spewing hatred against women and their freedom or ability to control their own bodies. So inflation wasn't enough to push me, you know. Rashida was sharing that she and somebody else too in the chat is like they later found out their votes didn't count, even though they sent it in way early, wasn't counted. So I do think there are some discrepancies. I think that we were set up, those of us who were Democratic were set up where we almost couldn't complain about election fraud because you guys see where I'm going. It's kind of funny. It's kind of brilliant. It's kind of like a mind CK that we're like, okay, you really did lose in this. Okay. So stop it. And we're saying that no actual proof is presented of winning. This person saying, I won. Where's the actual proof? So then for us in the election, again, even if something was rigged, for us to then say, oh, wow, this doesn't seem, something happened. You see, it's like we can't, and we're trying to be the good guys. So, and the greater point is I think in any country, when a great part of the electorate or the people start to think the election is not honest in either direction, you have the beginning of the downfall of the country. I really mean that, because think about what it means. If people don't trust election results, it's very hard to get them to believe again. So yeah, that's my take. I want to know what you guys think. I'm going to put up what Gregory says here. And yeah, thanks for staying. Thanks for watching. I really do want to know what you're thinking. I know you may be cooking, you may be cleaning. Some of you may be driving. Gregory says, I don't think I'll ever live elsewhere. Only desire to go to the motherland, Africa. I think it should be part of a reparation package. Right. I don't think reparations are going to happen. I don't know if you're joking. I'll just say in my area, someone has put up a reparation study. It was funded, to study it. Look with open, clear eyes at this. All flared up after Obama's 8 years. People that upset so much of the populace so much and stoke so much racism that, you think that reparations could actually happen in America? And even if it did, what the blowback would be, Gregory? I'm really curious, because I would say absolutely not. It's not worth it for what it's going to do. It doesn't mean that it wouldn't be the morally right thing to do, absolutely, but clearly the nation is not in a place. If they can't understand that DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, if you have 80 whites at a job and that they're qualified Black and brown people, maybe 4 of them are brought in over time, again, qualified, brought in. If that upsets the nation and a great swath of the nation, do you really think that reparations are going to happen? I'm curious, those else of you who are here, do you feel that it could happen, and would it be a good thing? Again, I'm saying then if it did happen, imagine the blowback, imagine the response. Yeah. So what do you guys think? In terms of going to Africa, yeah, there are, strangely enough, Rwanda, Gregory, is getting apparently people who are there are loving it. The Rwandans themselves are like, yeah, the war ended, stop bringing that up. It's been maybe 10, maybe more, I don't know. But I know there are a couple of Black women YouTubers, and through the grapevine about who they know, right? Not everybody's on YouTube. Not everybody wants to be out there. They're loving Rwanda, which surprises me, because it would not be the first country. For me, I would maybe Ghana, Tanzania. Is that the Percival? Ghana and Tanzania. I put them together. I put Ghana and Tanzania together. South Africa, a lot of people are loving South Africa. Not drawn to it, again, because the history is I still think it's a very stark difference. But yeah. And oh gosh, I'm blocking, in Kenya. Though, like, those are the countries that to me, and I think it's because I've met more Ghanaians and maybe Nigeria. You know, I've met Ghanaians, I've met Kenyans here in America. I'm like, oh, but yeah, Rwanda, people are like raving about living there. So definitely I could see that. Hold on, guys. I have to check one thing. I'll be right back. So yeah, traveling solo for me as a woman, I wasn't ever scared in Italy safety wise. Um, Except maybe for a second. Well, I was scared of getting lost and um, not being able to get anybody to help me when I was in Florence because, like I said, everybody was zipping around so fast and I arrived at night. Um, but I felt safe traveling alone in terms of crime, but something that, again, and I'm going to, again, as someone over 50, solo woman, I did, when I got sick, I started to worry that, wow, this is why it's good to travel with someone because if it were a serious illness, what would I do? So I do think that's a concern if you are traveling anywhere in the world. And of course, I had travel insurance. And I have to tell you guys, the first time I traveled 20 years ago, I literally was like, I hadn't heard of I had not heard of travel insurance, and I was a professor. But people were things again, 20 years ago, things were not as they are now. Back in my day, right? We traveled, we neither my friend nor me had a thought, of like, he brought his prescriptions. I didn't have any prescriptions. And yeah. And I did get sick too. And again, if the thing of getting cold, this is a holistic thing. If your body gets really cold, if you get chilled, it does lower your immune system. Oh, Egypt. Okay. No, no, Gregory, yeah. No, yeah, I kind of agree with you. However, I think if folks knew where they came from, they would do and be better. Oh, yeah, no, it sounds like you're answering something different. I'm talking about reparations. Sorry if that wasn't clear. I'm saying reparations. I think it's a, it would make the race relations in this country worse. I am convinced it would make it worse. Without a doubt, because I'm looking at what's already happened. So so I don't understand your comment. However, I think if folks knew where they came from, yeah, no, visiting or relocating to Africa, some folks are, and yeah, I heard something though that put me off a little. I'm not surprised. Americans, I think it was specifically African Americans, we're sticking to our group even in Africa. That I think I saw an African was complaining that like African Americans who buy homes in African countries, they don't often try to engage with the African community. I don't know. What do you guys think of that? And I was like, oh, okay. Again, people, it's that clickism. So if you leave America, then you're like, okay, well, I'm sticking with the Americans. And so even if you're in Africa, for some people, maybe they don't interact as much. I think it depends. But yeah, oh, absolutely. Egypt, Egypt, I wanted to go. And I hesitate to say this because there's a woman online, like I'm trying to get her on my channel. She just, I am not sure what's going on. Because we do similar things, like maybe, anyway, people can be weird. I've invited her multiple times. She's making it very hard. It's like, oh, I want to do it, but now I got to do this. Oh, but send me this, and like a lot of demands. Anyway, and she goes to Egypt and loves it and brings people. And of course, I'm drawn to Egypt. But many women say about Egypt that and I've seen it, I can feel it. It's like, oh, you're a rich American, and they're yelling at you to buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. And it's very aggressive, Gregory, especially for women. Um, and that it can really feel almost like dangerous unless you're with like a tour group. Unless you're with a tour group. So I would not go solo as a woman to Egypt. Maybe as a man you can. I think it's different. Let me look at some of the comments. Go ahead and share your comments. So I would probably love to visit Tanzania because I had a college friend who raved about the beaches in Tanzania, and the beauty of Tanzania. Also, many people are loving Johannesburg. They said it's got a really wild, energetic, like it's an intense city if you like cities. I actually don't like cities. I mean, I'm complaining about Florence, Italy, and tourists. I don't I don't like crowding. Any place I would want to go a little more, not quite rural, but like rural into like small city. But yeah, so Gregory, I was just talking about reparations, not about visiting Africa and Egypt. I mean, of course, I'd love to see the ruins, the pyramids. There are temples to goddesses there. Um, yeah, I would have to go with a group. Oh my gosh, Donna, that's the thing. Wherever we go, and I almost said this in Rashida's live, but I don't know. I may have been banned. And like I said, I asked a question in, it was not Rashida, it was another person a couple weeks ago when I made that video. Um, and they're like, what? Their response was, I thought, really aggressive and really kind of mean back to me. And you know, I did realize I was still jet lagged. I was exhausted. And so I was a little bit like this. And I am a sensitive person. But so, yeah, but that wasn't Rashida's channel. But what I wanted to mention today in Rashida's channel is that it just came to me. It's like Americans, because, many of us are talking about leaving the country. There's a lot of really big, Black expat channels now. Get out of America. You'd have a better life here or here. And all of that. But I feel like wherever Americans go, if enough of us go, we ruin it for the local people. So, yeah, Donna says, I did hear Americans are driving up prices in the housing market, specifically in Ghana. I'm sure they are. Probably in the most desirable places, or like the places that were like normal, right? Because maybe not like the richest, but the places, and then they start, and that's where people who are like working, have jobs, could afford to live, and then now they can't. Same thing is happening in parts of Portugal, specifically Lisbon, but I think also Porto. And these people don't earn, an African in Ghana doesn't earn typically as much money as an American bringing American cash. And that troubles me. So that's something I also think about, you know, because I am thoughtful about that. And it's just, we're trying to escape in a certain way for many people. Again, I know my channel's not about this. So some of you may be just like, what's she talking about? But we go to these other lower cost countries. Yeah, whether it's Ghana, whether it's Albania, and then if enough of us rave about it, we start buying everything up, everything gets gobbled up, and we displace the local people. So, yeah, I don't know if I'd finished the comment. I think I did. In Florence, um, the changes I saw were negative, and the woman who took me out for coffee and was trying to help me, she's like, yeah, we can't afford to live in our city center anymore. We can't afford to live in our city center anymore. Of course, that would breed resentment. Alessi, thank you. I was looking at Cape Verde. I was looking at Cape Verde, goddess. Oh, and what are you drinking? What is that? Oh, is it like watermelon juice? It's something red. I have to tell you, in the summer, if you just like either just puree watermelon, it is delicious. If you want it to be thinner, you strain it, but it is so good. But that color looks really good. I don't know if it's like raspberry or strawberries or something. Cape Verde, yeah. I'm a little Cape Verde, I think, is the size of the island matters to me because I'm from an island. I don't want to get into that's a whole other video. Sometimes in our native countries, we might hear that the crime is high. We may not want to go back to our native island nation, right? I was looking at Dominican Republic, and then a friend scared the crap out of me about Dominican Republic. Anybody actually have thoughts? In fact, thank you for saying that. What countries do you feel like that you have knowledge of yourself? Because I was looking at Cape Verde, but it seemed a little too small for me. I'm worried ultimately, even at my age, like how long am I going to live, whatever, but about rising seas and climate change. So you guys watching this, whether live, so Greg, Donna, whoever, energy coach, just and Alessi, are there countries where you have a really positive awareness of? So like, yeah, I don't think Cape Verde is in any typical belt of like storms or something, but um, I'm worried that it's kind of small. But yeah, I was looking at Cape Verde, and that might be a place. I don't know what their rules are for Americans. So you guys, my other thing is what's easy for Americans. And probably Cape Verde has, I bet you it has like mm, not 30-day, 90-day. A lot of places give us 90 days out of the gate. Panama, I don't know if you guys know, I think Panama gives us 6 months. I could be wrong on that. And Albania, not wanting to go to Albania, gives you a year. Just as an American, you step off the plane, you're like, I'm an American. They're like, okay, where are you staying? And then, do you have a place? Okay, go. So a year without any visa hassle. So yeah. Yeah. So what countries? What countries, you guys? Gregory. So Egypt, I'd have to go in a tour. Certainly my first time. I could see myself leading tours there, but as I said, I've heard so much about the tourist areas where we all want to go, about how there's very aggressive male, like, you're buying this from me, I'm taking you, you're driving with me, and so that's a concern. That's a concern there. Yeah. Donna, are you thinking of, is there any place you'd like to visit? Mm. I want to heat up my tea. It is really good. It's actually a tea I got abroad. It's ginger turmeric, like really strong. It's nice, but it's gotten a little bit cold now. It is watermelon. Okay, yeah, I love watermelon juice. It's so good. Um, so I'm from New York City, from Jamaica originally, but then New York City is where I grew up. And there was a place, a restaurant in Midtown, and it was the first time. It was like I never thought about juicing a watermelon, right? I'm like, that's weird. It was so refreshing. I was like, I have to make this. So yeah. Oh yeah, let me put it up. Gregory, no island living for me. Okay. Now, yeah, you got to defend that. Gregory, why no island living for you? See, I think you're wrong there. I think you're wrong. In fact, probably in Africa, some of the islands would be a really chill place to live. Unless, Gregory, is it that you get bored? Is it like you just want more like city life? Okay, here he goes. So yeah, Alessi, he answers. He says, I'd be nervous on an island after a month or so. But nervous about what, Greg? Nervous about, like, yeah, what would make you nervous? Like I said, I clearly stated, for me, if it's a small island, I'm worried about things like hurricanes and just climate change. That's what I'm worried about. I know some people have said they get bored on an island. I get that. They're like, you meet the people, and so many, and there's probably little cliques, little American cliques. Oh, no, and then you're like, you know, I got to fit in a clique, right? I could totally see that. That's kind of island living. You get to see everybody. It's like a small town, but you're on an island, so yeah. You sure, Alessi? Okay. All right. Listen, no climate change issue. All right. Alessi says, I would suggest Sao Tome and Principe. Really? But a paradise. Thank you for that. I'm literally, because sometimes I can't save the chat, I'm writing this down. So yeah, you guys, but remember now, the other thing, when I say I get mad at people, and specifically Black folks who are like, where should I live? And I'm doing the same thing now. You have to give what you're looking for, right? And that's the same reason why I get mad when people are like, that country's racist. It's like, the country is like huge. Like, okay, is Russia racist? Is, I don't know, Turkey racist? Like, where are you? What happened? How old are you? Are you male? Are you female? Like, what is it, Oh, the people are mean. Yeah, okay. The guy who ran the store is an asshole, okay? Or the woman was just, she was being a, what? Okay, so Sao Tome and Principe. Like I said, Cape Verde, again, just my intuition, because that's what I go with. I also do want to maybe close with this, back to the spiritual roots. You guys, I believe that we all have places on the planet that we have lived before, or we have connections, spiritual connections, a spiritual family, basically people whose souls we've reincarnated with before. That is why I'm drawn to Sardinia, because again, and maybe that it was a separate video for some folks who don't know me or like, oh well, how would you pick that country? So like, I'm not picking a country by like, oh, it's a heritage country, or oh, yeah. I mean, I could just go back to Jamaica, but as I said, even I just spoke to a family member who was there, and she's like, "Oh, I was very careful. I went to this part of Jamaica for this." And so, um, a lot of times, again, even in Africa, Gregory, not and just to break it to you, racism continues. So, say you go to a resort, Greg, and they're not used to having a lot of black folks at the resort because they're used to serving Europeans. You may be treated badly by someone who's African, Black African, because they're like, well, why are you here? I'm just saying. It's sad. It's totally sad. Okay, you are a city boy. Got you. Johannesburg, that I'm telling you, they said it's just like black culture, black life, and music and energy. So in terms of South Africa, Johannesburg. Um, and then of course any other city. So let me read some of this. Yeah, Alessi says, thank you for answering. Yeah, if you're a city boy, then you'd go crazy on an island. You'd be like, you'd be like, get me out. Put you in a straitjacket, put you back on the plane. Yeah. Let's see. So yeah, Alessi, I want to know, because it doesn't sound like you're in your home country. You're living in Boston. Yeah, I have to tell you, I specifically can say I did not like Boston. And there are very few places I'll straight up say I didn't like. Again, intuitively in my heart, people, trash talking Italy or trash talking other countries. Boston to me, again, this was years ago. I experienced it. What I felt in Boston as a Black person was everybody was separate. You're in this box, you go over there. You people, you over here. You over there. New York City doesn't feel like that. I'm not saying there aren't neighborhoods, obviously, but it feels like more mixing happens. People interact. When I was in Boston, it just felt like it felt segregated in a bad way. Any Bostonians, if you're watching this, let me know if you know what I'm talking about, or is it different now? But it just felt segregated in a way that I'm like, why am I doing this? Yeah. Alessi, are you going to school? Because there's so many colleges there. My whole life would have to change. Wi-Fi, Chinese food. Okay, Greg. Yeah, you're not. Yeah. That's one of the things you can't go to I know. And I have done it. I have a cute story. I've shared this before, but to your thing about, Wi-Fi, Chinese food, they're going to have Wi-Fi. Stop it. This is what I did in Italy 20 years ago. It was kind of like a Seinfeld. I walk in and I was younger, so I was more arrogant. I was like more confident. I'm like, I want an iced coffee. All right. I go into a little Italian bar, which bar is a cafe there, right? Guy looks at me, he's like, iced coffee? Whatever, we don't do that. I love this story. He looks at me, he's like, we don't do that, or we don't have that. I'm like, I got all like, okay. And my friend looks at me because he's with me and he's like, oh, I'll have to get hot coffee. I'm like, no. I said, so you have coffee? You have hot coffee? He goes, yeah. I said, you have milk? He says, yes. I said, you have ice? He says, yes. You see where I'm going with this. I'm like, okay, this is what I want. And now I almost sound like a bitch, but I'm not. Let me know what you think. I said, okay, I want a coffee. I want a glass with ice and I'd like some milk on the side. And I was like, sugar. And I made my iced coffee. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, dude, you could have just charged me an extra dollar and done this yourself, right? So what do you guys think? Was I being difficult? Was I being a diva? Because I still remember it because I'm like, dude, an iced coffee. You have all the components, right? That's kind of how an American would think. Like, you have the coffee, you have the ice, you have the milk or the cream, just put it together. So I got what I wanted, and I remember being like, you know, and I walked out. Every now and then you want to go to McDonald's. Gregory, you're so funny. All right. Let's see. Of East Coast cities, Boston is definitely not it. Yeah. Yeah. It's not subtle. I was going to say it's subtle. It's not subtle. I mean, if you have a high power job in Boston and you're black, you could, you go everywhere. But I just felt the segregation. This is why I'm not in some parts of the South. And, it just, that's not how I was raised. So, yeah, there's, a wonderful black community and you're part of, but then it feels like you're, there's no overlap. There's not a lot of overlap. And that, for our diverse country, right? Uh, that doesn't feel right to me. It feels like what's going on? Oh, I can't come here. I'm the type of person that, oh, I can't be here. You know, yeah, divaism is real. Divaism is real. Divism is it divism? Would we say divaism? Divism. Ah, it's true. It's true. It was my like Beyonce moment. It's like, I want what I want. And I drank it. It was good. It was because it was hot, guys. I'm like, it's hot and you want me to have hot coffee. I was like, no, I need to be cooled off. I've been walking. My feet are killing me over all these your cobblestone streets. Like I said, charge me an extra euro and just make it, right? People are so funny. But it's the same thing you, Gregory, saying, like, so you need a McDonald's. Now you're going to find that everywhere. I was in Venice. You guys, this was so adorable. And I want to say it was a McDonald's, but it was in an ancient building and they hid it. So it literally, I don't even, there must have been a tiny sign that said McDonald's. And I'm like, there was no big golden arches, you guys. I was like, there's a McDonald's in there? And then I kind of craned my neck because I didn't want the McDonald's, but I was like, I don't see the signs of a McDonald's. So it was kind of hidden in this building, like from the 1500s. But yeah, there was a McDonald's in there. So you're going to find a McDonald's anywhere. Alessi, does your island have a McDonald's? If Gregory went to Cape Verde, would he be able to get a McDonald's? I'm curious. I bet you in the main city, in the capital city, right? Is it? I think it is Principe. What is the cap? Let me look up. What's the capital city of Cape Verde? Let's see, capital of Cape Verde. Let's see. Praia. Okay, you're not okay. Why are you not recommending Praia? Praia? Let's see. Why not Praia? Is Praia not so nice? Because it comes up as the capital city, and I would think because I'm on an island, it would be good for me. The population is around 2,100. Right? If I go to these other places, it seems like it might be. So yeah, please tell me, why is Praia not not recommend? Why didn't you recommend it? You recommended Sao Tome and Principe. She says, I'm taking my certificate. Oh, good for you, girl. Did you like Portugal? Guys, should I go to Portugal? And I keep saying to wrap up this video, but I'm genuinely thinking Portugal is easier to get into, as I said, than Italy for long term. With Italy, as an American, you can stay 3 months on a tourist visa. That's much of Europe. Portugal is the same, but for long term, their visas are more accessible. They literally, I think, have one of the lowest income visas in all of Europe, especially for what they offer. And there are many Black people who are Portuguese. So it's not a country, it's not like me showing up in Denmark, and being like, hey, Denmark. Not that they don't have Black people in Denmark, they do, but I'm saying Portugal is a diverse nation already. So that's really cool. So yeah, did you like Portugal? So you're doing the certificate in regenerative, no, okay, hence the watermelon juice there and the big juice that you're drinking. Listen, not to be outdone, all right? I got my lemon water here with a little pinch of salt, okay? I'm keeping up with you. And in fact, my Vitamix, now I'm being really random, but my Vitamix broke after 4 years. Any of you must get a Vitamix, Gregory, remember you had told me you had a specific condition. You need to get a Vitamix. You need to start having smoothies and all more vegetables and things like that. So my Vitamix broke, but I believe it's a 7-year warranty. Can you name anything that has a 7-year warranty anymore? So I have to just wrap it up and ship it, and they're going to fix it. So yeah, Alessi, I think that's great. Regenerative detoxification. That sounds wonderful. Yes, the segregate. Okay. That's what I'm saying. It felt like segregated. Now, mind you, that was 20 years ago, but I could feel it. I literally was there for one day. So that's why I hesitate to make big statements like that. But again, it's my intuition. It was a feeling. It was like, you people here, white people here. And I also felt like it wasn't like Black people didn't feel integrated into like, oh, there's middle class Black, there's poor. It felt like, oh, this is the neighborhood where we put poor Black people and that's what there is. You know what I mean? It just didn't feel like there was a fluidity and a real integration and like social, not climbing, but social, the strata, Black and brown people were really distributed throughout, where I feel like in New York City it's different. Yes, there's poor, there's working class. I grew up working class, but you could see like, okay, there's middle class, Black people, Black and brown people, and then okay, there's some rich, where there's that. And so I did not. Yeah, check it out, Greg. Listen, I should give you a link. If you buy one on Amazon, I should give you. No, I know Cape Verde is. Oh, Gregory's asking. Okay, cool. Let me put up your comments. There's a whole conversation going here. Okay, yeah. Segregation is real in Boston. And then, yeah, where is Cape Verde? Yeah. It's a small island off of, yeah, I just recently, because I knew that because there's a singer called, I want to say Cecilia. She's probably about 70 now. Her voice is beautiful. Cesalia Evora. Cesaria? I've mentioned her before. You guys, if you do not know her, I think it's Cesaria Evora. Her voice is like just beautiful, lilting, joyful, in just very beautiful voice. Cesaria Evora. Alessi, did I say that right? Did I spell it? Oh, Praia is your city, but you didn't recommend it. All right. I'm going to also go right now. I'm going to Amazon. I'm going to find a Vitamix here. I'm going to put a Gregory or anybody watching this, not the immersion blender. You may want the immersion blender, but I'm going to do Vitamix. Literally, again, check it, but literally, Vitamix has a 7-year warranty. Okay. So Greg, I'm going to get you a link for it that um, if you go to Amazon, anything you buy, if you use my link, I'll get like 20 cents or something. Okay. So there. If you go buy some random thing on Amazon, anyone, my link, I just put in the chat. Send me $1. If you buy something expensive, I get maybe like $5 or $10. It depends, at no cost to you. So I just put an Amazon link in there. Greg, that'll get you to a Vitamix blender. But my Chinese herbalist said to me, first of all, most Americans are constipated. When you come to a live, I'm going to talk about everything. Most Americans are constipated. A lot of our issues also with the liver and our digestive issues have to do with the lack of fiber in our diet. So I'm not a big juicer. Now, Alessi may, I know there's benefits of juicing, the juicers say, I get that. But I like a smoothie. I need the fiber, okay? Because most of our food is denatured, okay? Now I'm really getting the stuff I really, really care about. So our food is just denatured. It has been stripped of nutrients for our bodies. So I prefer smoothies because you get the fiber, soluble and insoluble, and that is really crucial for our bodies. And it also prevents the blood sugar from spiking too much. Now, the people who just juice have their ideas about, oh, it's easier to absorb, and all that may be true, but I think for the average person, it's going to spike their blood sugar and they're just going to have fruit. And I don't think that that's healthy. I don't. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, you remember, you're paying attention. Cesaria Evora. Well, it's because we have Alessi in here, and I do recommend Praia. I was just suggesting another place I love. Are there 10 islands? Okay. All right. It depends on what is and I will look it up. So you do recommend Praia. It's probably Praia. Okay. You do recommend it as well. All right. Thank you for that. And I believe in signs. So, Alessi, you're saying that, like I said, it was on my radar. Guys, I may take you on my journey as I try to, my thought right now is I want to sublet my apartment for 3 months, go abroad somewhere, um, get some peace, get some rejuvenation. My cards did say I was exhausted. And why I'm exhausted is because I really am worried. I mean, all of you, wonderful, you're here in the US. Um, and I'm here in the US, but I, my intuition is saying go. I don't know if it's particularly safety or just for my evolution. All right. In fact, I was looking for a card I got. It's like you're not answering the call. I was like, whoa. And it was a card with exhaustion because I was asking if I should do this program for you guys. And I got no, actually. And one of the cards was you're exhausted. And it said you're not answering the call. And it seems like spirit is trying to move me to a less stressful environment. And I know Cape Verde might be one option. She did pass away? Oh, wow, I didn't realize. Okay, well, her music is timeless. And that's the thing with being an artist. I'm a visual artist, Alessi. Um, I wish I could sing. I truly don't. I don't think that's my gift. I'm good at speaking and speaking specifically in a relaxed way. Like I can do wonderful things with that, with relaxing people, but not singing. But yeah, her legacy, I mean, I think she was probably the most famous Cape Verdean, though, right? I think she really was. So I didn't realize she'd passed away so long ago, but her voice was just beautiful. Um, I want to say a Turkish friend told me about her. A Turkish friend who was telling me about like obscure, jazz singers from America and like um, she was very interested in world music. And so she's the one who turned me on to Cesaria. But thank you guys so much for being here. If you're watching the replay and there's a place where you think, okay, Viv can get nature, but I don't just want nature. I do want some cultural, I don't want to just have nature. I think I want to be adjacent to a city because I want to have galleries, culture, maybe some nice restaurants, but I want to live where it's peaceful, quiet. You can see the stars. I can still have good internet access because I also am thinking of maybe offering trips to you guys, right? To have trips where we do yoga and meditation together. So if you think of places that are low cost, that you think that you've personally either experienced as a spiritual person and you like it, then please do leave that. If you've gotten this far in the video, then do leave that in the comments. I would really appreciate it. Um, so yeah, praia. Because maybe I can go for 3 months. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to take you guys, if I do that journey, like where can I go short term while I figure out if I can immigrate to Italy and start this portion of my life there. So we'll see. It might be a couple of different steps, but I love it. I can find desert, I can find beach, I can find mountains. All right. I love it. I love it. And Americans, I wouldn't be treated, as I said, some African nations, when they see a American, they're like, oh, rich, oh, money, 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 money. And that's cultural. Because they're, again, like Panama, apparently that's not the case. They're just like, okay, American, yeah, but they're not like trying to like divest you from your money. Cape Verde has its own money. Okay. Like someone from going to America. I have to see what the rate is, right? Because that's the other thing. What's the American dollar doing? If the dollar is like down here, you know. Yeah. So Gregory, it sounds like you've been on the you've been researching a while. So they have their own money. Again, Panama, another country for people of African descent and African Americans, um, fit in with a good amount of ease, low cost. So Portugal, Panama, the two P's. I think there was another. Belize is another country I'm hearing things about. I think pretty quiet, pretty sleepy, um, very low cost of living as well. So it was nice to hang out with you guys. All right, I'm probably gonna go eat something, heat up my tea. Have a beautiful weekend. In terms of all the wonderful goddess stuff, I am thinking of making a meditation for you guys from this book. I might have even mentioned it before that I was going to make it a woman's book of meditation. I don't particularly, a friend gave me this book. It's from Kundalini Yoga, and it's a meditation where you see yourself as a queen, and it's to tap into your feminine identity. And I've never done a video like that. So it won't be me talk. Well, you won't see me. I'll probably do an intro, but then I'll lead this visualization from this book. So that's the next video I want to make for this channel. So look forward to that. As always, thank you so much for being here. And again, Alessia, I think there's some, I did this little sort of manifestation thing where I'm looking for an answer. And so I'm really, my interest is piqued now that you have mentioned Cape Verde again, especially because it was already on my radar. You're welcome, Greg. Listen, I don't even know you, and I worry about your I just like to encourage your health, because when we have our health, we have our energy. And yeah, culture is rich in Cape Verde. Yes, yes. I saw some beautiful pictures of some women walking, and they were just dressed beautifully, like more traditional clothing. And I know just family and that culture of it's not a capitalist culture, right? So that might be a nice place for me to land. Yeah, that might be a nice place for me to land. So I'm going to research this. I want to make sure there's no hurricanes, volcanoes, uh, anything like that, anything like that. Um, Also, really quick on this woo-woo note, Leslie might appreciate this. I was going to share more about just the concept of the ancient civilization of Lemuria that is said to be that the Hawaiian Islands are supposed to be part of, because I was told I was from that culture. I had lives in that culture. Um, it's funny because I'm not drawn to Hawaii. It looks beautiful, but it doesn't draw me. Um, so that's interesting when you mentioned Cape Verde, other side of the world, and yet, got my interest. Probably because of cost. I was looking for something more authentic. Hawaii is still the United States, and costs are very high in Hawaii. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you so much for being here. Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine. Be well, be well, be well. Have a beautiful week. And I'll be working on that next video. Like I said, it'll be a meditation and visualization, just feeling yourself as a queen, worthy, receptive, kind of in command and in control. Control's not the right word. In command of your beingness. Okay? So that to look forward to. Much love. Be well. Bye-bye.